What's up YouTube? It's Sylvie from learnhowtogetaScholarship.com. Welcome ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, old subscribers and soon to be old subscribers, because guess what? It is subscribe time. So smash that subscribe button and smash that like button, because guess what, honey? This video has some gems. Today is interview day episode 4, which means that there is episode 1, 2 and 3. If you haven't watched it, you have two options. Click here and go watch, or wait till the end of the video and you're going to see a playlist here. Interview day is the day when I have a conversation with a fully funded scholarship grantee, and I ask them about their tips on how they got their scholarship. And I hope that when you watch the interview and listen to them, the insights and the tips that they share, it is going to help you as you apply for your own scholarship. This week, I had a great conversation with Divine Tim, who is a Commonwealth Scholarship grantee. And if you don't know, the Commonwealth Scholarship has been launched at the PhD and the Master's level. It is a fully funded scholarship to students who wish to go study in the UK. So without further ado, let us get right into it.
Thank you very much for sitting with me for this conversation. Please, can you introduce yourself?
All right. My name is Divine Tim. I'm a medical doctor from Cameroon. I studied at the Faculty of Health Sciences of the University of Boya, and I graduated in 2017.
Okay.
So since my graduation in 2017, I've been working in a hospital in Cameroon before I got the scholarship, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, to study the Masters in International Public Health here at the University of Liverpool, like the Liverpool John Morris University, to be specific. Yeah, so I got the 2020-2021 Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. No, I tried the first year I failed. The second time I got the scholarship, so.
Okay. Oh, wow. I think I would like to ask more about your experience not getting, because I think that a scholarship is, you try, you fail, then you try again, and then maybe you're going to get it. You don't always get it like at the first shot. So the process to apply for the scholarship, is it done through nominations?
All right, so for masters, for the ones that are done on site, there is 2 scholarships. There is the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, and there is the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So the difference between the two is the nomination process. For the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, the nominating bodies are usually ministries of higher education of the respective eligible countries. So basically, you apply to the university, you apply through the ministry. So you send your application to the Ministry of Higher Education, they go through your file, and if you meet the eligibility criteria of the Ministry of Higher Education, so your files are forwarded to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, who go through it and they select the final people for the scholarship. So that's what happens with the Commonwealth Master Scholarship. Then for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, the one that I had, the nominating body is the university you're applying to. Yeah, so you apply to the university when the scholarship is launched. When you're doing the application online, you select the university you're applying to so that your application goes directly to that university. So the university goes through your file, and if you're the nominated candidate, your file is being forwarded to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, who are going to make the final decision. So that's basically where the difference is with the nominating body.
I see. Okay. So when nomination is done through the university, is it like just a normal university admissions application process? Is it like those type of normal applications, or there is other things involved in it?
It's different.
Okay.
It's different. For the Commonwealth Scholarship, it's all right. For shared, let me talk about the shared scholarship. for the shared scholarship, it's different from the normal university admissions process because you actually apply for admission to the university and you don't necessarily need an admission decision yet. But if you apply to the university and your application is received, they give you an application number. So when the scholarship is launched, you apply through the Commonwealth portal. So when the scholarship is launched, there is a portal for application on the Commonwealth website. So when you're applying, you apply for the scholarship to the Commonwealth, but there is a section of it that you select the university that you're applying for. So that's where you're going to put in the details of the university that you applied for, the application number also. So you apply to the Commonwealth website, and it's the Commonwealth that eventually forwards the application to the universities, to the different universities, to go through the files and select or nominate candidates based on the university's needs and criteria and based on the different programs that are available and the number of places that are available for the universities.
Okay, and is it a limited number of universities, or it's like all universities in the UK you can apply to any of them?
No, it's not all the universities in the UK. For Commonwealth scholarships, universities actually send bids for the scholarships, and the universities that are selected for that year are the ones that are offered the places, and the number of places are limited based on the different universities. Some universities can get up to 8 spots, other universities will get just 1, other universities will get 2, 3. So it depends on the Commonwealth and the eligible universities for that year. So some years you might have a university this year, and next year it's replaced by another. So the bidding process for the universities usually takes place before the scholarship is launched. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so universities bid and then students apply, but the issue is you are a medical doctor, so you went to study something related to that field of studies. Is it all universities that will have that particular field of, because you may want to study something, does the database of universities provide options for all fields of studies? That's what I'm actually trying to.
All right. So during the application process, like the eligible universities and the eligible courses are published, which means you go through the different themes. There are 6 different themes under which you can apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship. So on the Commonwealth website, those universities and the specific programs that are eligible for the scholarship are published. So you go through the list and you see the programs that you want to study and the universities that are offering that program. Then you can apply for that. So it's not every course within a university, it's a particular course that is eligible for the scholarship. So for my course, which has to do with strengthening health systems, I had to go through the list of the different universities that were offering that particular course under the Commonwealth Scholarship and applied for it. And it's the same for all the other themes. So if you want to study management, you're going to see a university that has management as one of the eligible courses, and you apply for it. So before you apply, the Commonwealth gives that list, and you know exactly what program and where you're sending your application to.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
I see. Now I want to talk about like the challenges that you face. Yeah, you had mentors, people who were ahead of you who had gotten the scholarship, but you applied the first time and you didn't get it. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
The first challenge is the first time I did not really, I don't know if using the word, I was not really sure about what I was doing. It was about applying, and if I fail, I learned from my experiences. But the challenges was actually knowing how to approach the scholarship in the first place. And for that, I had help. I had help in that aspect. So it was not really difficult for me in that aspect because I had mentors who actually told me, had to guide me on what to do. And the scholarship process on its own is very, very tedious. I usually say scholarship applications are like a full-time job. You're working and you have to work on your scholarship. It means you have a day that's been divided into two. You virtually don't sleep because you have to work. You have to work on all those essays, trying to write those essays and trying to get all that information and making them to be coherent and to make sense. That's a mountain to climb, and that's like the most challenging part of the application process, putting all those essays together.
Can you tell me about these essays? What are the essays? Is it like a motivation letter or the reason why you're applying for the scholarship? Like, I know that certain scholarships ask for different essays, and like for my scholarship, they asked us for a research proposal, and with the research proposal, you had to just explain what exactly it is that you want to study. And you had to defend it because we had a panel, like an interview panel, where you have to defend what you want to study and why it is important and how you're going to be able to make a change with what you want to go study. So that is how it goes for the MEX scholarship, which is my scholarship. How does it go? Like, what are the types of essays that you people wrote, which other scholars who are going to be applying to this scholarship, they are going to have to write? Or do you remember the essays that you wrote about?
Yeah, so there is actually a form that the Commonwealth that has all those essays. There are many essays to answer, especially for Commonwealth scholarship. I think for all the scholarships I've applied for, the most number of essays that I've had to write on something has been on the Commonwealth scholarship. Like I have one of the essays that we had to answer last year. It was divided into different sections. You have like 6, 7 or 8 short 150 words, 200, 250 words essays to answer. And it's mostly centered around the program you want to study. There are specific things they are trying to find out, like if you know what you want to study, the importance of what you want to do, how important is it to you and to your nation, because Commonwealth scholarship, from the application process and from what I've learned, it's centered around developmental impact, about development. So it's about identifying an area that you think needs to be developed in your home country or your community and trying to convince them that this particular aspect is lagging in my community, and I think if I can get this knowledge to be able to do A, B, C, D, and E, this is going to help to develop my community, it's going to develop my country, and it's going to help my country towards achieving the sustainable development goals. So the questions are centered around that. It's about your developmental impact statement. That's like the first essay, which is usually regarded as one of the most important essays, because they say from that one they can choose to continue reading. The person who is assessing your application from there can just look at your application. They're like,
rejected.
I don't think this person knows what they are talking about. So that's usually where you have to impress the person who is eventually going to go through your application, your developmental impact. And it's let me see, this is it.
And it's 150 words, you said?
Yeah.
Isn't 150 words like too small to be able to explain the developmental impact of your research? Like, that's a lot to say with really few words.
Yeah, it's all right. So the first one, development impact. 200 words. They don't want people to write too much. Nobody is interested in knowing if you can write 1,000,000 words. They're actually interested in knowing if you can go straight to the point, if you can identify a problem, and you say how big the impact of that problem on your community, your country, and on yourself, for example, and what you think needs to be done. You need to be straight to the point. You need to give facts. One of the mistakes that I did during my first application, and which I noticed during the second one, was in my essays, for example, I was using a lot of qualitative terms. And using a lot of qualitative terms does not really say how big the problem is. For example, HIV kills many people. They're like, okay, yes, it does. But if I say HIV killed 2 million people in 2016, somebody will be like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So trying to quantifying it was like the trick. That was the trick that I missed during the first time. Talking about the problem and giving figures, not just arbitrary figures, but figures that have been proven and researched and published. So it's about getting that information, summarizing the information, and putting it in like a catchphrase. Like somebody reads it, they'll be like, wow, this is a problem. Let me see what this person has to offer.
Wow. Okay. And then you do this in 200 words.
In 200 words, yeah.
And then what other essays? Do you remember the other essays that you had to write?
Yeah, so the next set of essays was about how you intend to apply your skills and qualification when you return back home. Yeah, that was the next set of essay. So it's about, so you give the problem. This is the point where you talk about what you're going to do with the knowledge that you aim to achieve when you get back home. And it's that part of the essay that is very important as well. One thing about the Commonwealth essay is consistency. Consistency is key, because if I say let me use my example, what I did in my application. My application was centered around cardiovascular diseases. So in my essay, I said cardiovascular diseases were the first cause of death in the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, where we come from, it's HIV. But from research and projection, it shows that by 2030, if nothing is done, cardiovascular diseases are going to kill more people in sub-Saharan Africa than HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, every other thing combined.
Oof, that is strong.
Yeah, so that was my introduction, and everything that I had to say had to be linked. So every essay is linked to the previous one. Yeah,
I understand what you mean. So there has to be, it's like moving parts, but the parts are supposed to fit together nicely and make sense when you look at it as a whole.
Yes. There has to be make sense. You have to move from one step to the other. And the essays are organized in such a way that you actually move from one step to the other. There is nowhere where you go back to and fro, front, back. No. It's organized in such that if you read through, you'll be like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. This is what I need to do what I want to do. This is how I'm going to measure the impact of what I want to do. And this is what I aim to achieve. So that's usually the order of answering all the different essays. So most of the times you have concepts that will be repeating between the essays. If you actually have that consistency, you will probably mention something that you said in the previous one, in the next one that you're answering. And that way you have that flow. If there is no flow,
there's going to be a problem.
There's going to be a problem, yeah.
Okay. Do you know how long it took you to write all of these essays? Do you remember how long? Because it seems like it's a lot to write. Can you remember, like, how long did it take you to get through all of them?
I started preparing for this one when I received all the rejection letters during the first time. When I received those rejection letters, there was a lot of them, of course. There were so many of them. When I received them, I had to go through the different applications and try to find out where I went wrong, what I could have done different. There was a temptation of changing my whole idea, but no, I had to stick to what I wanted to do because it's something that I've wanted to do for long. That way it becomes easy to convince someone that that's what you've wanted to do for that long. So I had to stick to my initial idea and try to make sure that all those areas where I missed to say some specific things, I actually included it. Because one thing that I noticed was it's not about getting the first class degree. It has a role to play. It's not about working for like 12 different NGOs and doing every sort of things in the community. It's about how you tell your story. It's very important. How you tell your story should be convincing. You should actually, what the professors will say, they don't want the person that has done everything. They want the person that has the potential to do so many things so that they can empower that person to be able to achieve those things. So you might have done so many things and just stating it like, I have done this, I've been the director of this, I've been the coordinator of this, I've been the regional or the international this. Nobody cares about that. It's about what you have achieved, the impact you've created in your community already, and how you want to scale up that impact and try to see how you can develop that community. It must not be your country. I focus on a community and the work that we've been doing in those communities, and I think that was something that I did different from the last time, focusing my essays to a specific problem and a specific community and trying to put it in such a way that anybody who reads it will be like, okay, I think this person has something to offer, and let me give an opportunity to this person to see if they can actually achieve what they have set out in their applications.
Wow, that is very interesting, and I like the fact that you failed the first time, but you stuck to whatever your initial idea was, but you also took time to see what did you do wrong, and then in studying exactly what you did wrong, and figuring it out, that is how you were able to get it the second time.
Yes.
All right. So if you are to talk to students throughout just your entire process of applying once, then applying the second time, and getting ready to apply for the second time, I think that is a lot of information that students can learn from, and also how to deal with rejection and what to do after rejection. I think that's a very interesting perspective. But if you are to give some pointers to students who are thinking about applying for the Commonwealth Scholarship, what will you say based off of your experience?
First of all, I think one of the good things that happened to me was the rejections that I had. And I was motivated by all the rejections. Every time I got so we term it love letters. That's how we call it. Every time you receive a love letter, you just be like, oh, another one again. All right. I don't mind. So each time I failed, I came back stronger. I made sure that if I'm applying again, it's better than what I did. Like I have the essays that I did the first time. I have the one that I did the second time. There are times I actually read the two and I'm like, oh, so I try to put myself. So the question I ask myself is, if this is somebody's essay and you're one of the people who is reading this, do you think you give yourself 30%? So because of that, every time I go through my essays, it's about you can write and you think you're finished and you think you're ready. you read and you notice that you cancelled everything and you start over. It's about being focused, not to be scared. Do not be scared of rejection, because rejection just tells you have so much more to offer, but you have to look within yourself. You have to be sure about what you want to do, because if there is any doubt in whatever you're writing, they are not going to give you. It's a very competitive process, like you said. Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, I think it's one of the most competitive scholarships in the whole world, because you're close to 2,000 of you are applying for a university that has just two slots. So that's a highly competitive process, and you need to be that consistent. You need to be sure. You should not just apply for the scholarship because you've seen people applying and getting the scholarships. No, you're always going to get it wrong. You should apply for it because you've seen that it's the only way for you to achieve your objectives. If it's building yourself professionally or building your communities or whatever it takes, that way you have that extra motivation to be able to put all those sleepless nights. I used to wake up at midnight, 1 a.m. and I work on my essays till maybe 6 a.m. when I have to go to work. And at some point, there are going to be points that I don't want to give up, because there were days that you just say, what am I even stressing? But you just have to be strong and get a mentor. Mentorship is something that you cannot survive scholarship applications without mentors. You cannot. People have gone through the process. They have had the scholarships. They made the mistakes that you're going to do. And talking to them, having that good relationship between a mentor is going to make them read your essays, tell you how you can approach the different sections, give you suggestions on how you can improve on them. I had two mentors that had to go through my essays and tell me, gave me suggestions, gave me tips and things like that. I had those mentors that I was constantly on their case. Like every time I would write to them, you'll be like, yeah, they're abusing people, of course, but it's about how you set up that channel of communication between yourself and the mentors that's going to make them to read your stuff, to give you all those ideas, to give you the pointers, to tell you what to do, where to get what particular information. They're even going to give you insight, the information about the universities that you might not get on the website. And it's going to help, because university as well, if you have that information in your case, it will be like, you've actually researched your course and your university very well, which means you're serious. So they're going to give you all those information that you'll probably not see on their website, and it's going to help you. So mentorship is key. That's like the most important thing during any scholarship application process. It's that mentorship. If you have a good mentor and you have a good mentor-mentee relationship, it's going to be easy. The second time was the easiest time I've ever applied for a scholarship. And it was that competitive, but with the help of the different mentors that I had, I got 2 nominations. So from rejections everywhere, I got 2 and I had to choose. Yeah, so now I had the problem of, should I take A or B? But just the year before, I was like, can somebody just drop out so these people can consider me? But now,
Oh wow, okay, that is very interesting. And I think that your journey, I've interviewed many scholarship grantees over the years, and most of the scholarship grantees that I've interviewed were people who had the scholarship at the first try. So it is really interesting to speak to you, to learn on like what you did different the second time after a rejection, like what you did different. I think that is so helpful. And also just the way you break it down, like the essays and what you should do and the use of numbers. That is, you should use more quantitative than qualitative ways of stating your problem and whatever it is that you want to solve. I think that is very interesting and very insightful for those that are going to be writing these essays, because I don't think there is any scholarship that you apply to without like a research proposal, or why are you applying. There is always essays in every scholarship. So if you were to apply for this scholarship today, what are you going to do different?
What am I going to do different?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I think what I would do different would be to prepare earlier, like not run into the risk of rushing essays towards the end. It's to get to my mentors earlier. It's to identify the schools earlier, because there is a lot of people that did not submit their scholarships because at the end of the day they were undecided on what they wanted to do and the deadline passed. It's about always doing that research. I'm always going to be on my phone, always refreshing pages, like which information do I need now, but I think overall the experience I had the second time is exactly what I'm going to do if I had to apply. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to sacrifice those nights. I'm going to make sure that I call, text, send emails to my mentors every single time. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe for me, it's a little bit different because it's the second time I applied and I already knew where I went wrong the first times and I had to correct that the second times. But at the end of the day, I think there's a course that the Commonwealth offered us that goes through everything that they need to do with the applications. If you look at it, you probably see where all the questions of the applications came from. I just went through the list. You had like 8 essays to answer. So there are like 7 essays before your cover letter, before your motivation letter. So it's about the advices. What I would do is just to rearrange a few things, not any major changes, just to rearrange a few things and how my ideas are going to flow. The key is...
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the key is, like, as I mentioned earlier, what the problem is, what you want to do about that problem, what you need to be able to do something about that problem, how you want to use the opportunity you're going to get to do something about the problem, and how you're going to be accountable for whatever you do. So it's about your developmental impact, what you're going to do after your course, what you aim to achieve from the course, why are you selecting that particular course, and why that university. There is a section about your proposed study. That's where you can talk about the research proposal. It's short, 250 words. How you're going to measure the impact of what you're going to do. A short term, intermediate, long term. What do you aim to achieve within the next 1 year? What do you aim to achieve within the next 2 to 3 years? Then, above 5 years, what do you want to see 5 years from your study? So,
that's a lot. Oh my goodness. God help.
It's a lot. It needs patience.
Yeah.
You need patience.
Yeah. Normally, when someone applies for let me say a particular field or a particular study area and they are rejected, I think the first tendency will be to, okay, let me switch. What made you stick to your initial idea? What was it about that initial idea that made you think that this was a good enough idea to stick to it?
when I was still in med school, discussing with my seniors and my mentors that had the scholarship, the advice was look for something that you like to do and just be working on it, because it's going to be the reason why you're going to achieve whatever you want. From med school, my work in the hospital was always centered around the care of people with high blood pressure, diabetes. And for 3 years, I was working at that service. I had a clinic that I was running that I decided to develop from scratch to something that was very big. And I had to use it. I had to this is what I've done. And I think this has helped so many people. And I think if I can do this for this group, it means I can do it for a bigger group. I should not just limit myself to maybe increasing the number of people that came for follow-up from 50 a month in 2017 to 700 a month by 2019. If I can achieve this with the people and the team that I'm working with, it means if I get that knowledge in public health, that knowledge that it's going to give me that capacity to maybe plan and implement bigger programs, I can reach a larger number, and I'll contribute to slowing down or reducing the rate at which all these cardiovascular diseases and deaths due to cardiovascular diseases are increasing. So I'm going to stay and focus on this. Even if I don't get it, I'll continue working on it. And that way, there was no way I was going to change my approach, because my focus was on that. It's an emerging problem. So I identified that it's an emerging problem. That was the direction where everybody was taking before COVID. So HIV, people no longer die of HIV. The number of people who die from HIV has gone down. They now live longer. They are now dying from strokes and heart attacks. Everybody is looking towards that direction. It's a problem everywhere in the world. So I have to contribute to that. So I'll stay on that and focus on that. Rejection or no rejection, I'm going to focus on it. And that way I had a clear plan. And that way I had a clear plan and a clear path that I've been planning and working on for a very long time.
Yeah.
So failing the first time was okay, here you've developed this clinic from 70 to 700. That's 240% increase. And so what? Who cares? All right. Start thinking differently. I think I should approach it this way. But the main theme should still be there. Whatever field you want to do, if it's finance, if you think the banking system in Cameroon is a mess, how do you want to fix it? How is your study going to help you to fix that banking system in Cameroon? If you think it's transport infrastructure, how big of a problem is it? How is the problem going to help to achieve the different development goals? So anybody that is applying for the Commonwealth scholarships, it's like an advice. Anybody that is applying for the Commonwealth scholarship, for what you want to study, go to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Look at the goal that focuses on what you want to do. If you want to improve infrastructure, there is an SDG that has to do with infrastructure. If it's about finance, banking, poverty, there are SDGs that cover all of those things. You read the SDGs, you're going to see where the world stands in respect to that. You're going to see the report from your different countries and where you can improve on, and the different things you can do, and working with other sectors to improve everything. So SDGs is key when it comes to the Commonwealth scholarships.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for this very, very insightful conversation. I think that this is one of the most insightful conversations I've had with a scholarship grantee, because it's really detailed, and you share someone can just watch this and take it and just start preparing a process to apply. Of course, all the other grades and things you've been doing before is going to add up to either make you get it or not. But I think that is very detailed and gives some sort of a blueprint that someone can work with. So thank you so much for your time. I am very grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You made it! But before I let you go, are you applying for a scholarship and you want me to interview a grantee whose insights can help you? Let me know in the comment section. And hey, click here to subscribe and click here to watch more. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Love y'all.